This episode of Techzilla is sponsored by GoDaddy.com, Netflix, and eMusic. Coming up on this episode, graphics card questions answered, maybe a few motherboard questions too. Charge up or drain first, the right way to charge your cell phone, your laptop, your iPod, your soul. Blu-ray playback on a MacBook Pro. You're going to find out if that's even possible, and more of your viewer questions. So kick off your shoes, pop open a cold one, kick back, and relax, because Techzilla starts now. Welcome to Techzilla. I'm Patrick Norton.
I'm Veronica Belmont.
And it is hot. It is ridiculously hot.
Not as hot as I was yesterday.
Where were you yesterday?
I was in Phoenix yesterday, and it was 106, and I was in the desert.
You were like playing with Baja toys.
Yeah.
I hate you.
Yeah, it was awesome.
We've got a great show lined up for you, but not Veronica today, because she got to play with Baja vehicles, and I didn't. But first things first, we got a few emails with concerns about last week's freebie download, AVG antivirus, specifically AVG's link scanner function. Many of you were concerned about link scanner's approach to malware sites, wherein link scanner is going to actively scan, basically ping through the links, or links as we usually call them when we're talking about the internets, in search results, causing increased traffic to sites. In some cases, like 80% increases, which can be a little tough for a smaller site to absorb. We understand your pain, but we still think AVG is a solid antivirus program for end users, and AVG has issued a patch that disables the more aggressive scanning done by Link Scanner. Quote, Search Shield will no longer scan each search result online for new exploits. That was what was causing the spikes that webmasters addressed AVG with. So please, if you have a favorite free antivirus tool, let us know about it, TechZillaRevision3.com. But we still think AVG is a solid tool, and we want to thank everybody who gave us the heads up on that little search link mayhem.
We try not to tell you about stuff that's going to screw up your crap, you know?
Or other people's crap.
Or other people's crap. Or generally mess with your system, or anything like that.
So,
that techno
talk stuff. Speaking of which,
questions?
Email questions?
Yeah, I think we got some questions in store.
Actually, we got a really good one. Let's get started with our first email, which comes from Michael in North Carolina. He says, I'm confused about the correct way to charge a battery. About half the sites I read say you shouldn't charge much and let the battery run down, while the other half say the opposite, that you should charge often and not let the battery run down. Which way is correct?
So we'll assume you're talking about the battery in your cell phone, MP3 player, or notebook, and not that big fat lead acid battery that sits inside your car, although they do have a few things in common. First off, don't let your battery run down to empty before you put it in storage. This is definitely a bad thing. Leave it around 50% or so and pull it out of the device if that's at all possible. Yeah. Charging often is okay, but you should avoid leaving your notebook, cell phone, iPod plugged in 24/7. The charging circuitry inside the device will stop charging when the battery is full. It's just that it's better for the battery to get some exercise after a while. At the very least, if you want to let the battery run down as it's shutting down, at least once a month, charge it up ASAP. Yeah, this is a definite read the manual kind of moment, because frankly, most of the word on the street or on the web is contradictory, if not flat out wrong.
Absolutely, especially if you're one of those people who like takes your cell phone and it goes from the plug in your car to the plug in your house. Let it run down once in a while. Let your iPod run down once in a while, at least once a month. Let your battery notebook run down. Yeah. Just like let it run down until it's like, I'm out, I'm done, help me, I'm dead, plug me in somewhere, then plug it in and let it charge back out at least once a month. Exercise your battery.
So why is that? What does it have to do with? I mean, I remember seeing some kind of diagram online where it showed it like breaking down the inside of the battery, like if you keep like plugging it back in and out all the time.
You know, the last time I tried to explain this, I got an email from a chemical engineer that mocked me on so many levels. It's basically,
they're way smarter than us.
Well, they can do organic chemistry, which makes me weep softly in a corner, begging for my mother or you know, release. Math, organic chem kills me. Basically, though. Let's say it solidifies. It becomes like calcified, ossified. It just goes bad.
Not good for your techno gadgets.
How's that for a techno answer? I think it's time now to thank one of our sponsors, eMusic. Techzilla is partnered with eMusic to create a hand-picked list of some of our favorite songs. Visit eMusic.com/Techzilla, listen to the songs, and let us know what you think. Once a month, Veronica and I are going to create new eMusic playlists, and we'll let you know about our selections right here on the show. Now, here's a cool deal. eMusic is offering you 50 free songs if you visit eMusic.com/Techzilla and sign up for a free trial. You can also check out my playlist or Veronica's including a whole bunch of songs you can get from eMusic at emusic.com/Techzilla. These are 100% MP3 files, guaranteed to play on any device. I don't know anything out there that doesn't play MP3s except for old lawnmowers. And basically, it's because there's no DRM, no lockdown songs, no transferring rights. You download them, you have them forever. They are yours.
Welcome to this week's Freebie Download Pick, a free program that we find useful, fun, or incredibly interesting. Today's selection, Hover IP. If you're running broadband at home, you know how tricky and time-consuming network issues can be. Too bad there wasn't a way to access all your network settings from easy-to-use control panel in Windows XP. Oh, wait a minute, you can with Hover IP. Hover IP takes all the commonly used network options and settings normally scattered in different locations in XP and sticks them into a utility reminiscent of WinIPConfig used in Windows 98. The program's interface provides you with 6 tabs. IPConfig, which lists all currently installed NICs, their address and release and renew IP functions. Name server lookup, a tool that gives you name server information for web addresses. Routing table. Ping, for basic network connectivity troubleshooting. Traceroute, to measure network latency. And port scanning, a great tool to see which ports on your machine are currently open or closed, plus a handy guide listing the default functions for each port number, just in case you slept through Networking 101 in college. While Hover IP won't solve your network problems automatically, it will give you a hand in determining where that problem lies. So whether you need to renew your NIC's IP address or run a simple trace route, give Hover IP a spin.
For the past few weeks, we've been asking you to send us your PC hardware questions so we could go over and pick the brains of the guys at ExtremeTech.com. That day is here. Joining me now, Extreme Tech Senior Technology Analyst Jason Cross. Jason, welcome to Techzilla, man.
Hello.
It's good to see you. You test a lot of hardware.
We do. That's what we do.
Well, that's
all we do.
What's your favorite area for benchmarking or for testing products?
For me personally, I'm into the graphics stuff.
Why is that?
Sometimes the CPUs, because I think it's kind of the biggest growth sector and the most easily visible thing. Like, you know, it's really easy to see the effect of, well, a graphics card being twice as fast. You don't always...
They get heavier.
Yeah, well, so many CPU things are just kind of fast enough, right? Sure. That you pop open Word or Outlook and you're like, not like, well, my CPU's twice as fast today. So, but
I can type like the wind.
Yeah, graphics, you really kind of feel that bump, and it's growing even faster in CPUs. So.
Mostly, though, if you're playing like 3D games, some of the new rendering applications that tie into the graphics card.
Yeah.
Have you been really excited about any of the new graphics cards in the last couple months?
Yeah, this guy right here, I'll let you hold it up.
The 4850.
ATI's Radeon HD 4850 came out 2 weeks ago, and it's for $200 and is so fast and so much better than their previous, 3000 series stuff, that it caused NVIDIA to take this guy, which was their $300 card, and lop $100 off of it, because this guy is a little bit faster than this guy. And that was a big problem. And in fact, if you've been watching NVIDIA's stock, it's been very bad, because they had to readjust their guidance, saying we had to drop all our prices because of competition, and their stock tanked badly. And so, but this is a great little card. Single slot, one power plug.
I was going to say, because
not loud.
The NVIDIA cards have been sucking down a serious amount of power lately.
Yeah, although this guy at idle isn't bad.
At idle.
At idle, which is, when you fire up a game, it's a little more, but it's not egregious. It's not terrible.
So we have a stack of viewer questions for you. You ready?
Yes.
Okay. First up, King writes in, I hear so much about pairing CPUs and graphics cards. How do you know when your CPU and GPU are balanced? Can you give us some examples?
That's one of those it depends kind of things, because different games are going to tax different stuff different ways, right?
Okay.
So some games are going to be, Crysis is going to tax both a lot. A lot of physics, a lot of AI, big environments, a lot of stuff to load into RAM. You need a lot of RAM. Very graphics heavy, yeah.
For those of you who aren't hip on the PC gaming lifestyle, Crysis is gaming machines weep in the darkness when they think about Crysis.
That is like the worst right now for
the most taxing.
The most taxing, not the worst. It's a fine game, but it's, yes, the most taxing. And in fact, this guy is one of the most affordable cards you can get that can run it pretty well. So.
Okay. So one of the rules of thumbs I was always taught was you kind of want your graphics card and your processor to be about the same in price, around $200 graphics card, a $200
for
CPU.
games, you get more bang for your buck spending more money on your graphics card.
Okay.
If you have a $200 CPU, is probably going to be pretty much good enough for most games, no matter what. And then you can spend as much as you want on a graphics card and keep getting more performance. A lot of that depends on what your monitor's like too.
Okay.
Bigger monitors, higher resolutions, need more graphics card. You got a small monitor, low resolutions, don't need so much graphics card.
So if you want a 1080p television, you want it to look good, you want a lot of graphics cards.
So some of it's the games you play too. So Crysis is kind of the worst on both. A lot of first-person shooters aren't as taxing on the CPU, but very graphics demanding. If you're into strategy games and you're gonna play a lot of Civilization or real-time strategy games, they're not going to, push the graphics card that hard, but they're going to push the CPU. So because we're running a lot of AI at once. And so on.
Jordan has a question for you. He has an XFX 680i LT SLI motherboard. That's a mouthful. And he's seen some other brands out there. He's wondering what makes a motherboard good or bad. What's a good name brand for a motherboard? And what's the difference between a motherboard from, say, Asus and Intel and all that other stuff?
Well, they use different chipsets depending on different brands use different things and offer from a variety. So Asus offers a huge number of motherboards from a lot of chipsets with a lot of different options.
You get like ones Intel, NVIDIA.
Yeah, and you can get ones that have built-in Wi-Fi or 2 NICs or 1 or all kinds of different options, and they're not all going to be good or bad. The one that he has from XFX, they're primarily a graphics card vendor, and that motherboard actually follows NVIDIA's reference design for it. And there's BFG and a couple other companies do just the reference design for the NVIDIA motherboards.
When you say reference design, that basically means
NVIDIA makes
the plans.
a design. Yeah, NVIDIA makes a design, say this is sort of our suggested design for motherboard vendors, and then they make some motherboards like that, and then other vendors like Asus or Abit or guys who make a lot of motherboards might stray from that. They might put different cooling on it or route things differently, different slot configurations, stuff like that.
Is Intel generally considered to be, you can't overclock on them, but they're super stable if you're
Actually, you
looking
can
for
overclock quite all right on Intel's, all the
Really?
X whatever and P whatever motherboards. You can overclock
Obviously,
just
I'm
fine.
down in the cheap seats on Intel
Yeah,
motherboards.
a lot of it depends on what CPU you have. Obviously, you're not going to put an AMD CPU in an Intel motherboard, won't work. For the Intel CPUs, it depends on which ones you have. The Extreme Edition ones are totally unlocked and overclockable.
Okay.
All the other kinds, you can't adjust the clock multiplier, but you can adjust the bus speed and get up that way.
Wow, okay. I'm just shocked. The whole idea of overclocking an Intel is just weird.
They overclock great now. Ever since the Core 2 Duo stuff, they're fine overclockers.
It's just, I'm so used to them being like, no. The clock speed is the clock speed.
Yeah, and they're a little bit like that on the non-Extreme Edition parts. Because they're worried about people remarking them.
What's your favorite? If you're buying a motherboard, is there a particular brand you look at, or you wait till the benchmarks are out from the new round of motherboards?
I kind of wait till the benchmarks are out, and I kind of even still like to wait a good month or so beyond that, because brand new motherboard chipset types tend to be a little flaky until they get a new round of BIOSes come out, and that seems to always be an issue. Yeah, so. And even if you get one long after it's come out, download the BIOS before you install things on the motherboard, put it on a USB key, make sure you can update the BIOS right away, because otherwise you'll go through no end of headaches. Yeah. So for Intel CPUs, I like Intel's chipsets, and they're fairly reasonably priced. NVIDIA stuff's been pretty good, but I've had a few issues with the drive controllers.
That's not good.
Every now and then. So, but their performance, if you want to way overclock something, the 7 series NVIDIA chipsets are great. And then for the AMD CPUs, AMD chipsets.
Way to go.
Yeah.
Okay, Naz has a question for us. Is the 9800 GTX really that much better than an 8800 GTX?
Nope.
Come
Next
on.
question. No, it's a little better. It's not so much better that I'd go buy one, even though they just dropped the price to 200 bucks. I wouldn't run out and buy one. Its power utilization's a little less, and they're a little bit faster, but not like a generation leap that you're going to be really, oh my gosh, the games are,
remember
15%, 20%.
The longer you wait, the less money you're going to pay for the same or more graphics power.
And features and all that other stuff. So, if you're happy with your 8800 GTX, just wait. It gets
just a little longer.
Yeah.
You'll get twice as much power for half as much money. Yep. Rick's got a question about SLI. I was wondering about the benefits of SLI. Do you get better performance on something like an NVIDIA 9800 or two 8800s in SLI? Do two older and cheaper cards give you more gaming performance than one newer card? He's got an 8800 GTS that he's happy with on his 22-inch monitor. Would it behoove me to purchase another 8800 or just dig a little deeper and get a 9800 video card instead? SI.
That's a loaded question. No, it depends on the game. Some games scale better with 2 graphics cards than others. In general, 2 8800s is going to be a little faster than a 9800, sometimes a little more than that, especially if you have a really large monitor. He has a 22-inch, and he says he's happy with his 8800 GTS. Don't go buy another one. You have to buy another one exactly like the one you have, first of all.
When you say exactly, does it have to be the same stepping on the processor or just kind of the same?
It has to be the same model number, 8800 GTS. He can't get an 8800 GT or GTX.
Right.
He's got to get an 8800 GTS. And it's going to be faster. It's going to be probably faster than the 9800, but if you're happy with what you have, it goes back to that. They get so much faster and so much cheaper so quickly that just wait till you're not happy with it and then see what's out there, and you'll probably your best bet will be some new.
Yeah, it'll be like some new $200 card.
Yeah, that'll be just that much faster or have cooler features or use less power or all of the above. So if you're happy, wait.
That's good advice. Sean's got a question about external GPUs. There are several products coming out that promise to function as an external video card for multiple displays or boosting graphics performance. What is your take on these devices? Do you think they will be worth the cost? I'm mainly looking at this for a supplement to my notebook's graphics capability, says Sean. And he actually had a list of devices on there. External, I mean, the whole idea of taking this and putting it outside the computer.
There's a few,
I like the idea.
Yeah, it's kind of a neat,
why.
it's kind of a neat idea. There's Asus and MSI have a plan where they take the Express card slot, which is really an Express card slot is really a PCI Express slot for external devices, but a narrower width. It's by 8 or something.
Yeah, it's that port you
physically
don't
a
use on your
narrower width
notebook.
and electrically a narrower bandwidth. So they take that and they put a PCI Express card in an external housing, and then you can plug it into your notebook and plug a monitor into the external thing, and away you go. And that's good if you have a place that you're always using your notebook. Like if you're a student, you run around with your notebook all day, and then you go back to the dorm and you plug it in, you're using it, and you have a monitor set up, and that's good for that. It's not good for, I want to plug it in and play on my notebook's monitor and have things go faster. They don't really do that.
Like taking this to the coffee shop and then taking this to the,
and
what's the battery drain?
And it's not going to, they all have to be plugged into the wall, and they don't make the screen on your notebook go faster. You plug a monitor into them and they make that go faster. So that's really what they're for. And then AMD just came out with a whole new way of tackling this, where they have a proprietary plug that gives them sort of full bandwidth and has an external module, and will speed up everything. But those notebooks aren't really shipping it. There's like one model shipping with that in Europe somewhere.
But the nice thing about this is it means you can have a decent notebook with battery life and not pay $9,000 for one of those 9.5-pound gaming notebooks with 2 hours of battery life.
Yeah, the real benefit of this is if you're the kind of person where your notebook is your everyday computer and it's your home computer, and as well as you're taking it around with you, you can take it around, have good battery life, take it home, have good gaming performance. We really haven't tested them yet because they're kind of brand new. Some have been announced and not shipping yet, and all that kind of stuff. So
hopefully, probably sometime between now and Christmas, they'll start shipping.
They need to really have a good standard, just a standardized plug, and AMD wants to let their idea for what this plug is, they want to give it away to anyone who wants to use it. So hopefully people will jump on that, because it's basically a by 16 PCI Express slot card plug.
Is an Express card a proprietary standard that people have to pay for to use, or?
I don't think so.
So okay, so AMD's just doing it because they want to own the spec.
I think they even are proposing it to standards groups and stuff, because they just want to be the first one out there with product, and they do. But we'll see.
There is a battle between AMD and NVIDIA.
Yes, and sometimes it makes no sense.
All right, Reese has a price quality question. What is a good graphics card for a PC that is both inexpensive and reliable? When I look around, I can find 256 megabyte cards for a variety of prices, but I've been told not to go off the amount of memory the card has.
That's very true. There are actually some lower end cards now with a gigabyte of memory, and it's just like they do it to say a gigabyte on the box. It's not that much faster.
It goes to 11.
Yeah, it goes. Yeah, it's one of those things. You only need as much memory as the game will load textures and data for. And almost no game will use more than 512 megabytes of memory, unless you're running at an insanely high resolution, like one of those big 30-inch monitors, 25, blah, 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 So if you don't have one of those monitors, you don't need anything more than a 512 meg card. And
if you're not gaming, you don't need a 512 megabyte or 1 gigabyte card.
Oh, yeah. If you're not gaming, just get the cheapest NVIDIA or ATI card that you can, and the drivers are good on both of them. Just get whatever's going to be the sort of quietest, cheapest thing.
Graphics cards are simple if you're not gaming. Ryan,
yeah.
Ryan has a question about notebook graphics. He's looking at buying a new laptop, and he's wondering if it's worth it to get a dedicated video card in the laptop. He's mostly web surfing, word processing, doing some photo editing, and only a little bit of gaming. He wants to encode a bit of video as well. Is the extra $100 for the souped-up graphics card worth it?
Depends on what his little bit of gaming is, but that little bit of gaming is going to stink on the integrated graphics thing, unless his gaming is like running the kids Looney Tunes game that runs on any. If it's World of Warcraft or anything like that, you're going to be a lot happier with a
desktop.
Well, just the discrete, dedicated graphics chip in the notebook. Okay. I think that's what he's asking, discrete versus integrated.
Well, yeah, should he buy like the cool guy, the $100 upgraded graphics card in the notebook, or should he just go with
You'll generally be a lot happier with that if you're doing any gaming at all.
So spend the extra $100.
Video encoding stuff's not going to use it yet. That's coming.
That's been coming for 2 years.
We've
been talking about that for 2 years.
I've seen it.
You and I.
Seen it.
You showed it to me running 2 years ago.
I've seen it work. I've seen it on Premiere plugins. I've seen it on Cyberlink's Power Director, GPU accelerated encoding,
which is unbelievably cool.
Yes. So coming soon, but not here now. But other than that, none of the stuff you listed is going to make any difference, whether it's discrete or integrated, just the games.
Cool. All right, Nate, along the same line, says, how can I be sure I'm buying a laptop with a video card that meets my price performance point? I'd love to buy the fastest thing on the market. However, it's hard to convince the wife that I should spend $5,000 on a new laptop. What is
I agree. I wouldn't spend $5,000 on it.
That's a.
It would also be 20 pounds, and you can't. If you unplug it, it take 10 minutes of battery life. And don't get one of those super high-end gaming notebooks unless you don't plan to actually use it as a notebook and take it places.
And at which point you should just buy a desktop and get twice the performance for half the money.
Unless you just don't have the room. Yeah. Well, they're desktop replacement notebooks for a reason. So
are there any decent micro ATX boards for gaming?
Yeah, plenty of them. A lot of micro ATX boards are just fine. They'll have one graphics card slot, so you can't do the dual graphics thing, but they make fine small computers. But if he's asking which grade of notebook to get, really what you want is find whatever sort of 15-inch notebook is out there that has a good discrete graphics chip, because all the CPU speeds and all that other stuff for notebooks isn't going to make nearly as much difference as the graphics chip, because the graphics chips don't go as fast as the desktop stuff. That's going to make all the difference. That and a lot of RAM.
Do you ever game on a notebook?
Only when I have to.
I think I'm going to wrap it on that one. Jason, thank you so much for coming in and answering all these questions for everybody. If you're serious about tweaking your PC for the best gaming experience possible, or if you just like to get your tech on, if you want to see the benchmarks, if you want to see Jason's fine writing, head over to extremetech.com. I think it's probably the best site out there for PC enthusiasts on the web. If you like to get your DIY on, check it out, extremetech.com.
It's time now for a Netflix-sponsored movie pick of the week. This week, Runaway. Set in the near future where robots are a fact of everyday life, Runaway is a story about Officer Jack Ramsey, who heads the police department's Runaway Division, a group tasked with handling cases involving malfunctioning robots, or runaways. He's quickly drawn into a tale of intrigue and danger as more and more runaways become homicidal, forcing Ramsey to overcome his personal demons in the process. Starring a youthful Tom Selleck and KISS frontman Gene Simmons in his acting debut, Runaway is a treasure trove of 80s technology, right down to Intel's 8086 processor. It might not be great cinema, but definitely is a hoot. And don't forget to check out the other 90,000 titles Netflix has to offer, including Blu-ray. You're bound to find any title you're looking for. Plus, with 40 shipping centers, almost all deliveries happen in just one business day. And shipping both ways is free. Plans start at $4.99, but as a Texzilla viewer, you can get a free trial by signing up today at www.netflix.com/Texzilla.
Looks like it's time for just another website we can't get enough of, a website that we just can't stay away from because it's too useful, too funny, or just too darn irresistible. One in that last category, today's pick, the home of the underdogs. Although PC gaming is rich in history, most people know little, if anything, about the earlier games. Enter Home of the Underdogs, a site dedicated to preserving and cataloging PC gaming's early history. Whether you're interested in something like Sublogic's Jet or EA's Starflight, you can find all their details here. Box art, screenshots, game description, and if the game is no longer under active copyright, an actual copy of the game itself you can download and play at home. Just select a genre at the top or choose by company, game title, or year on the left, and away you go. You can see the early beginnings of PC RPGs with entries on Bard's Tale, Ultima, or The Magic Candle, or you can check out the wacky and wonderful world of movie tie-ins and Euro games like Barbarian and Captain Blood. Of course, Home of the Underdogs does more than just standard PC games. A portion of the site is dedicated to less well-known indie games, educational games, game books, amateur games, and fan-made remakes of titles like King's Quest and Agent USA.
Yeah.
King's Quest?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, Veronica's excited. Plus, if you have trouble running some of these classics on your 21st century machine, there's a helpful guide on tools and techniques you can use to get that 20-year-old war game running like it was booting off of a 8 megahertz machine with a 2 megabyte hard drive. If you want to take a trip down memory lane or just want to explore the history of PC gaming, you should definitely check out the Home of the Underdogs. You'll be glad you did.
Are you ready for some more questions?
I already have our next email question right now, ready to go from Nate. Hey, Veronica and Patrick, I respond to a lot of emails every day, and most of my responses are the same. Is there a program in OS X that will allow me to reply to similar emails without rewriting or copying and pasting the entire email? Thanks, Nate.
Ooh, that's a pretty good question.
It's like an SMS question. Be there in 10 minutes. Click.
Yeah, that's true. As much as it's wonderful to have the time to write a personal email back to every single person that you get an email from, sometimes you just don't have the time. We know that very well.
No. You actually respond to every email you get. Politely and with great dignity.
Usually. I really do my best. Well, I found a program called Text Expander, which should help you out, Nate, if you're willing to shell out the $30 for it. You can use it for a ton of different tasks, like filling out forms and putting signatures at the bottom of emails. But you can also save whole paragraphs in the snippets library.
I like that.
Yeah, exactly. And then use a short text abbreviation to add it to your emails. So you could be like, quiet, I don't want to talk to you. Click. It just does that.
And a giant paragraph.
And a giant paragraph. Or you could do like, I don't know, literally like a 3-letter macro kind of thing for a whole paragraph of text, and then it would be done.
Is that OS X only, doesn't run on Windows?
There is a Windows alternate. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head right now, but there's a program very similar for about the same price.
We should find that for the show notes.
We should find that for the show notes. Yes, and Leo Laporte is also approving of this product. It says so right on the website.
If Leo Laporte approved, it's got to be good.
Exactly. But we have another video email that we should get to probably.
I like that thought.
You know you say that a lot, don't you?
Yeah, almost as much as I say basically.
Basically.
We have a great question from Jeff today. Moving on. Nothing to see here. He wants to know what the deal is with playing Blu-ray on his brand spanking new MacBook Pro.
Hey Veronica, Patrick, how you doing? I've got a new MacBook Pro and I love the machine, but it's my understanding I can't play any Blu-ray high-def content on this machine. Do you guys know any way to do this? Thanks.
So the funny deal with the MacBook Pro is that you can burn Blu-ray discs, like with files and stuff, but you can't really do much in terms of playback.
And this is not specific to the MacBook Pro. This is all OS X machines are not going to be playing back pre-recorded Blu-ray movies at any time in the near future, as far as we know.
Yeah, is it cost? Is it just prohibitively expensive to put a Blu-ray playback
I believe that
Steve
Jobs can do anything, and if he wanted Blu-ray playback on OS X, there would be software that would play back Blu-ray discs on OS X. I think he wants to push everybody into downloading expensive movies through the Apple Store.
Oh yeah, that could be
iTunes, it would be called, onto your Apple TV.
You know, that fancy Apple Store. But there is a way you can do it, kind of.
Kind of.
It's kind of a workaround.
Yeah, the workarounds for it. First, you got to get the video off the disc, and that's going to require a bit of cracking because you got to get around the protection to suck the 25 or 40 odd gigabytes of data off that disc.
Do we need some kind of like "this is not legal" disclaimer built into this segment?
Well, we should. Actually, I haven't actually figured out a way to do it on OS X. I can do it on a PC.
Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure there's a way you can do it in OS X too.
So we should probably say, if you really want Blu-ray discs on your machine, you're going to have to put the disc in the drive, have software that will basically rip the data off of the disc, and you're going to have to either read that with a, actually you're going to have to transcode it into something that some device, probably QuickTime Player, is going to be able to play on your machine. For research purposes as a journalist, I've explored this option using any DVD on the PC and a couple of other tools. I have no idea, though, what tools are available to do on OS X. Should
we'll
ask
look
for
into that.
suggestions?
Maybe you guys can talk about it in the forums or something, and we won't put it on the show notes because that might be bad.
Well, we can put it in the email us if you know a good way to play Blu-ray discs on OS X. As far as we can tell, it doesn't exist without having to rip and crack and re-encode. So do us a favor, email us techzilla@revision3.com.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's no program available for OS X that will play back Blu-ray movies on your MacBook Pro. None.
There are only 2 applications that do it on Power DVD on the PC, and actually WinDVD finally came back out of nowhere, and the latest version of WinDVD will also do Blu-ray discs. As of last week, I did not know they were back with that, but there are only 2 applications on the PC that'll do it.
But if you can feasibly rip it, then you can watch it in HD on your laptop. You won't be able to burn it in HD back again, because then it would have to be compressed, right?
Don't make my head.
Because you can't. Okay, I want to talk about it.
If you're curious about burning your own playable
brain.
Blu-ray disc, email us, techzilla@revision3.com, because
we'll use a macro to respond to you.
What's so funny is you can actually use Toast to do it, but don't get me started.
All right, well, we want to see more. Yeah, leave him alone. He'll figure it out eventually. I don't know why I'm defending him, because he won't do it in any easy way. Anyhow, we want to see more of your lovely faces on screen, so please, please, please keep sending us your video questions. Remember to make the questions no longer than 15 seconds, load them up on YouTube, and email us the link with video question in the subject line. And no attachments. You guys, for some reason this week, like 4 or 5 people sent us video attachments. Listen, we're not even going to look at them. We may not even open them. We're definitely not going to download them. Just won't happen.
I do admire the 200 megabyte attachment attempt, though. That's kind of cool when you got your ABC HD going. Don't do it again, because
don't do it.
Because Zimbra doesn't handle things like that gracefully.
Right.
Right.
So links are good though.
Before we go on, let's take a moment to thank one of our sponsors. They're the people that make Tekzilla possible. Without them, you can't have your weekly Tekzilla fix. So do us a favor, support us by supporting people like GoDaddy.com. In fact, I myself was just purchasing a domain name on GoDaddy.com. .com names as little as $1.99, plus world-class hosting, fast and easy website builders, and quite a bit more. Now, did you know on July 1st, Yahoo domain renewal pricing is increased to $34.95 a year? That is ridiculous. Stupid overpriced. Do yourself a favor and transfer your domain to GoDaddy for as little as $6.99 a year and get a free 1-year extension plus guaranteed renewal pricing. How's that? GoDaddy.com makes transferring easy and offers quite a few extras, including hosting, a 5-page site builder, complete email, total DNS control, and much, much more, all for as little as $6.99. What are you waiting for? Oh, you're waiting for the special code, the deal you can get because you're a Tekzilla viewer. Enter in code TEK2, that's TEK2 when you check out. You'll save an additional $5 off any order of $30 or more. Some restrictions apply. You can see the site for details. Do us a favor at Tekzilla and get your piece of the internet at GoDaddy.com. Support us by supporting them.
Starting July 19th, Tekzilla will begin releasing all new episodes on Saturday instead of Friday. The same great content and witty banter you've come to expect from Tekzilla will remain the same. The only thing changing will be the release date. So mark the date on your calendar. As of July 19th, Tekzilla will officially be releasing new shows on Saturday. So Pat, you still feeling up to answering some more emails?
Well, look at tired already. It's
no, you're fabulous, darling, fabulous. But we've got a laptop security question, and since we're both laptop users, I wanted to make sure you're paying attention, Patrick. Ready. All right, good. I'm
fired up.
To it. Here's a question from Jacob. I recently purchased a MacBook and a time capsule, both of which I've noticed have security ports on them. I live in a college dorm where we have 3 sections of area separated by doors, and I want to leave my door open as the AC is in the center. However, I don't want my MacBook walking away on me if I should leave. Do these security ports work, and what cables would you recommend? Price is a factor. Love the show, Jacob from Austin, Texas.
Okay, we should point out this is not a MacBook-specific question. This is not
it's a laptop in general.
Yeah.
For sure.
The security port he's talking about,
it's that little guy.
It's this thing right here, this little tiny hole right here. I wish I could have brought in one of these cables. I also could have brought in a pair of $20 Klein cable cutters because
to show how they're so easily stolen.
Well, they're not so much that they're so easily stolen, but basically, right? So there's a lock that inserts in here, like a little T-sized device in here. You twist it, you lock it down, and basically you end up with a chain, right? A cable on your notebook, and you loop it around something, not a desk that
like
somebody can lift
up,
but
or something like that.
Exactly. And what they are devices that prevent thefts of opportunity. So let's say your roommate brings home someone of questionable moral virtue. Certainly no one would normally do that in institution
Patrick,
of
that
higher...
almost never happens in colleges.
Exactly.
Why would that ever happen?
Well, here's the thing. I had a roommate who was a wonderful human being and used to bring home some of the sleaziest human beings on the planet, not for any sort of whatever they were doing, but because he brought home somebody that used to steal. Yes.
Not good.
Yes, and actually, you know, the idea is that you want you want the theft of opportunity to be prevented, which is basically somebody goes, "Ooh, a shiny notebook," and grabs it and runs out the door, tucks it in their backpack or puts it in their jacket.
Because if they see it connected to something, they're going to think twice about it.
Or
they're not
better yet,
take the chance.
and this can be a little embarrassing. I actually saw this happen in an office once. Somebody grabbed somebody's notebook, and we're trying to steal it, but somebody's like, "Can you grab my notebook?" And they had it chained with a Kensington lock, and they walked up, and they got to the end of the notebook, and the notebook jerked out of their hands and dropped to the floor, and of course did what notebooks
and was
do.
destroyed.
Was trashed.
Yeah, there's a lot of good locks out there, though. I mean, you can even get ones that have a an actual number lock on there, not just a key one, too.
I mean, the thing is, they're all attached to almost always a thin cable that you can cut with a pair of $20, you know, electrician's pliers or cable cutters. You know, if you're looking for something, pretty much one is as good as the next because they're all pretty crackable in the sense of, you know, somebody can bypass your security with a pair of cable cutters. But the chances are that nobody's going to be like, you know, walking into your dorm room and go, "Oh my goodness, he's got a laptop. I want to steal it, but it's got a Kensington lock in it. I got to go to Home Depot and get a pair of cable cutters and come back later on when they have access to your notebook."
That's a little more premeditated.
Yeah,
I would say,
it's possible. Maybe there's a notebook thieving ring running around your college, but
hey, that's actually possible. You never know. They find out stuff like that all the time. But anyway, there's a website, Tri10?
Tri10.
Yeah, Tri10 has some good laptop cables that are all under like $36, so you can find a pretty good one on there. And also securitykit.com has a big selection of different brands. And they even have one from Kensington that you can connect to 2 different devices, and that's only like $70.
That's kind of cool.
So you can have 2 different lock heads.
And your, I mean, it's
his time
amazing.
capsule and his laptop can both be connected to the same chain.
LCD flat panels, notebooks, even some external drives now actually have Kensington lock heads in them, so you can basically lock everything down. And you know, I wouldn't take too many chances at a dorm. Don't leave your room open when you're not there if you can help it. Just putting your notebook in a drawer, throwing a particularly ratty sweatshirt over your monitor can do a lot to keep people from snaking your stuff.
Right, exactly, because I know how you desperate college students can get stealing laptops and turning tricks for book money. I kid.
Hey, college is expensive.
College is expensive.
I can smell the student debt piling up.
The desperation in debt, yes.
All right, you want to squeeze in just one last question, Veronica?
I think we have time for one more question. This one comes from Maxwell, and he wants to know, is there an email or IM service which will let me send SMS text messages from my computer? I'm frequently at my computer and getting text message. It would be nice to have such faster and easier way to be able to type out my text using my full keyboard and not have to pick up the phone. I'm running Windows Vista Ultimate x64.
Oh, come on, but really, it's
so easy to do that, right?
Clicking.
You really enjoy that part?
I think that's all part of the SMS, you know,
the experience.
Aesthetic. Yeah.
The experience. What's more important than what OS you're running, though, is what cell provider you're actually using. Because there's a lot of different web-based text messaging services, but not all of them work on every cell provider. So, but I mean, they all work on the web, so it doesn't really matter if you're on Vista
you don't
or
have
OS
to just
10
know
or whatever.
your provider, but you have to know the provider of the person you want to send the message to.
No, I think it only has to do with your provider.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it only matters about your provider.
I want to send you a text message, but I don't know what service
What provider are you on?
Yeah. Now, okay, thank you, and then, you know, you can send them.
It doesn't work. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
So we tested a couple just to see what was out there. The first one I looked at was Texum.net, and all you need to do is type in the number you want to send the text to, what provider they're on. I guess that's actually what provider you're on. Yeah, what provider you're on, and boom. They support more carriers than the other one I looked at, which was SMS Everywhere. And SMS Everywhere doesn't seem to have AT&T support, so that's going to be kind of an issue for all you people out there. Their site says, currently we support the following major cell phone providers in the USA: T-Mobile, Sprint, and Nextel. And Verizon Wireless is apparently coming soon. However, you can sign up for a paid account and get to send bulk text messages, which would be pretty good, I guess, if you're some kind of text messaging spammer of some kind. But you can also get access to their developers' API. Texum worked really well when I tried it out, but SMS Everywhere was having network outages or maintenance or something when we went to use
Twitter.
it. Just like Twitter.
I'm sorry.
Be nice to Twitter, all right?
Twitter.
Lay off of them.
Hey, if you want to follow us on Twitter, just kidding.
So I'm not sure what the spam situation is for either of them, but Texum, you can opt out of the whole service. Like if you're getting a lot of messages from them.
Right.
Go on their website, enter in your phone number, and they'll block out all further communication.
That's actually kind of convenient.
Yeah, so that's nice. So if you're getting bugged by it, you can just turn it off.
Goodbye.
And not have to deal with it anymore.
Speaking of dealing with it, if you want to deal with us not asking you over and over again, we want your questions. We live on questions. Email us, techzilla@revision3.com. TechL product reviews, how-tos. You ask us, we'll do it. We can't get to everyone, but we try to, and we need those emails. It's your show, and the only way we know how to do it is if you send us actually one of those YouTube videos that we talked about earlier, or a text question, or rumor has it we'll actually be accepting questions on Twitter in the near future.
No way.
It's a rumor.
No way.
Yeah.
What about IRC? They were talking about that earlier.
If I can get into the IRC room and not get bumped, then we'll take questions off of
in.
IRC. Yeah, you can always get in. So is for Veronica. There's room for you and everyone else. There is no getting punched out of our forums, revision3.com/forum. And we got a ton more details on the site, techzilla.com.
For those of you who caught the live stream, we hope you enjoyed it. And don't forget to catch all our antics live and unedited next week at revision3.com/watch. And don't forget to catch Internet Superstar with Marty and Gator this week, where you can learn how one man traded a red paperclip for a house. No lie, don't miss it.
Thank you so much for watching. And of course, we want to thank Jason Cross for coming in here and answering all those questions for us. ExtremeTech.com is where you can find more of Jason Cross's work. I'm Patrick Norton.
I'm Veronica Belmont.
Till next time, you've been watching
Techzilla. Load them up on YouTube and email us a link with.
Most people know little, if anything, about those games. Huh?
What does that mean? And the prompter goes dark. And for those of you who enjoyed the live stream, we hope you enjoyed it.
Looks like it's time to swallow our tongue on camera.